So Norm, without further ado, Steve, have a great weekend, buddy.
You do, Coach, and everybody else, enjoy the weekend and get
Okay,
some rest.
and thank you again for all your hard work to serve the FX community. Norm, it's been a while. I'm now promoting you to panelist, and now I'm going to unmute you, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
Got you.
Okay.
Got you, Norm.
Get my notes up there. You might want to give me
Okay, so you know how to share the screen. You go to the green box that says share.
Look for a green box. Okay, there's a green box. Okay. And, oh, I think I see it.
Yeah.
There we go. Do you got it now?
Yeah. Got your notes.
You need that black bar at the top? It went away.
Yeah. No, we have all your notes here, your review from October 24th to November 8th.
Righto. You might want to give me an introduction, right, Dale?
I would love to give you an introduction. Norm is part of a generation that spent a lot of time looking at the trading masters. In fact, he started, I believe it was in college, starting to look at astrology, probably to pick up chicks is my guess. But then he started noticing how things could work in the markets. He spent time on the SIBO floor as a trader in Chicago. And if you want to learn anything astro, I call Norm our astro man. Norm would be a great source for you to learn about trading aspects using the planets. How was that, buddy?
Pretty good, thank you.
Okay, so take it away.
Just to follow up on what you just said, I started studying the markets when I was at age 15.
Okay.
I was, stumbled on the astrology while I was in college and started investing while I was in college and did quite well. And that led to my buying a 1975, buying a membership on the fledgling Chicago Board Options Exchange. And then I was there for 12 years. And during that time, I also had an opportunity to trade on the Chicago Board of Trade floor too for a while. So I did that for 12 years. I've been doing this over 50 years. My letter, which I started in 1978, it's just had last October 31 was the 41st anniversary of my letter.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
That's, you know, just like trades, many analysts come and go. So, you know, still doing it for this length of time shows at least one real admirable quality: perseverance.
Thank you. So if you can, the folks out there see this on their screen, I would recommend you take a screenshot of these different planetary events so that you can go back and check later. And there we go. There's we're starting on back a couple. I thought I'd go back a couple weeks so we can learn what might have happened and so forth. Otherwise, we won't learn much. You know, just looking ahead, you don't learn anything. All right, there we go. There's all your events. We got different planetary events, and with the different planets and different signs that are associated with different markets. That's what we'll be looking at. Just for example, here on the 24th AC after the close, we have Venus doing something. Get the important point at 0 south latitude as the planets go round and around the sun, like horses on a carousel. Not only do they go around and around, they also oscillate up and down. And when they get to the midpoint, 0 south latitude, then that's an important point. And that the Venus markets are cattle, copper, cotton. The stock market is the big basket of everything, so it responds to just about everything. Sugar and wheat are the other Venus markets. So when we have these different points, another type of point we have is we look at what's called a natal chart. That's when something began or something was born. And so we will take a snapshot of the planets of that important moment, like when the U.S. began on the 4th of July, 1776. And so then Jupiter on this point was 90 degrees where Neptune was on the 4th of July of 1776. So that we'd be looking at, in the U.S. points, we're looking at U.S. financials such as stocks, T-bonds, the U.S. dollar, And in this case, because the U.S. Neptune is involved, U.S. oil, we'll see if that works or not. We also have your moon, which I've been on your show before, and I often tell the folks that to watch the moon. It works for financials, grains, precious metals. In this case, because it's in the sign Scorpio, we are running a special on cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds. So that's going to be included under financials, of course, is your stocks, T-bonds, and currencies, right? So
So
there we
we
go.
have a
Here,
full moon coming up, Norm.
that's why I asked to come on now.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that in a little bit here. All right, so we got Jupiter to the U.S. moon again. So there's your stocks, T-bonds, and U.S. dollar. And here we go. We got Mercury turned retrograde in Scorpio the morning of Halloween on October 31. That's your Scorpio is your cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds, and
You
your
know, Norm, can I ask you a question that's not market related, but a friend of mine was talking about Mercury in retrograde.
okay.
And I don't know if it was in his sign or not, but he needs to have a surgery. And because of that, he postponed it until that passes. What do you think of that?
That's kind of a general rule. I don't know about surgery. I don't know if I do that for surgery, but generally you don't want to do anything important when Mercury's retrograde. The rule of I have a theory is that if you do it under Mercury retrograde, you probably have to repeat it or do it again.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So don't sign any important documents or contracts when Mercury retrograde. They'll probably have to be redone. There was a study back in the late 80s on California real estate. They found if the closing was done on Mercury retrograde, 80% of those all got busted. They had to be redone.
That's something else. I'm glad I brought it up.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I shouldn't sign any prenups until that happens, then, either,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, buddy.
You get married, Dale?
I have to get divorced first, but
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So go on, buddy.
Don't sign your divorce decree under Mercury retrograde, right?
Oh, don't worry. That's going to take some time. All
Right.
right.
You don't.
So,
I'm
all
sure
right.
you don't want to go through that hell a second time, right?
No, no, no. I don't, buddy. All
There
right.
we go. Okay, so anyway, you got your Mercury markets are the moon and Mercury are the keys to the grain. So you got corn, oats, and I left out. I seem to left out soybeans and wheat. I left out soybeans. There's wheat.
I had someone on that showed the beans on the verge of a breakout. The grains
Okay, well,
are worth paying attention to now, aren't they?
I'm going to be showing the bean chart here in just a bit.
Okay.
Okay, we got Saturn. It's lining up with Pluto in the sign Capricorn, and so that's Pluto is cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds, and then your Saturn is coffee.
Is Saturn representative of depression or melancholia?
Yeah, that's correct. Saturn.
Okay. So when Saturn planetary alignments happen, is it usually a negative for, say, equities?
No, you can't make it might be,
Okay.
what we're looking for is change in trend points, or,
Okay. All
things
right,
under
buddy.
astrological theory that normally you would say, oh, that's a negative. Sometimes the market does. Sometimes bad news is good news. They
Right.
don't want the economy to overheat, da da da, da. And so
Yeah.
then it turns out to be a high rather than a low. If it's
Inverts.
yeah,
Yeah.
it inverts
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
It's better just to look for change in trend points and not to get too hung up on the theory, than
You're right. That's
ideal
good for having a beer and chips, basically.
ideology, in the markets. The
Yeah.
markets have their own way of doing things. So. All right, I'm going to go over these charts alphabetically mostly. Here we go. We're going to start catalyst first alphabetically. I have this Venus point here, back there. There we go, just to get acclimated. Venus, the little cattle from the night of the 24th, opening of the 25th. There it is, and it didn't do anything. So that's a red arrow. That's a miss. I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. Here's cocoa. We had these 3 points, green arrow points here for the cocoa, and you see that worked okay. You had a rally here. I like to sell on strength and buy on weakness. I think that gives you an advantage. So here we are. We'll be selling here on that opening, and that worked. You had a little dip there, and that you had a chance to make some money. Then we kind of chopped sideways, and then we had a little bit of uptrend there, and you sold the next day on the opening, and then you had a nice dip. And again, there's a nice little top there, and we sold there, and you got a dip. And so you had three chances to make some money in cocoa. Here's coffee, did not work. That was should have been a big point for coffee, but coffee didn't care. Coffee didn't behave. Usually it behaves, but not on this point. Copper, you might want to add up my green arrows and red arrows. I added it up last night. It looks bad here in the beginning, but it gets good. There we go. So I think end up with a lot more green arrows than red arrows. There we go. So if you want to keep score at home, that's okay with me. Let me know. I'll tell you what I think. And when we get done, there we go. There's copper. That was supposed to be a point there for copper. Didn't work. Here's corn. Corn's good. Corn, we had a dip there, and next day we made a low. Only went a couple of pennies against us. Corn, if you're not familiar with corn, a penny is $50, so it didn't hurt you very bad. And then we had a nice rally. You had a chance to make some money. You got out of your longs and went short there, and that was good. And then you had a nice decline there, and you could have made some really nice money off of that. All right, there was probably a moon there too. Oh, that's the moon right there, the first green arrow. Then we had Mercury going retrograde there the morning of the 31st, and that was at top. So you can see Mercury and the moon worked pretty well. Okay, cotton was going, I don't do sideways. Market was going sideways. So I put a little green box there to show where you were looking to do something, and if it's going sideways, we don't do that. We follow Newton's law. For every action, there's an opposite equal reaction. If the market's going sideways, chances are it's not going to do much. And you can see if you just do a mirror image from that point back a few bars, going sideways led to more sideways, you know. So Newton was right, you know. Can you believe it? What, 400 years ago?
Yeah, sure. Gravity.
There you go. His arguments have gravity, you know. All right, there we go. Here's gold is rallying there to the moon. If you sold there, you got a little dip there, you had a chance to make some money. Okay, here's hogs. Here's taking a pass here on that spot there, going sideways again. But we did rally up to that point there, and so you could sell there. And then we went down, and then you had a chance. There's the bottom there, and the next morning is our window to get in. And if you bought there, it popped up, and you had a chance to make some money. Here's crude oil. That was at one point to the U.S. chart involving Neptune. Neptune is oil. And the only point I had for oil is right there, and that's a pretty nice top right there. And you had about a 4-day decline in oil. If you're not familiar with oil, by the way, every handle, every big full number in oil is $1,000. So if you go from 66 to 65, that's $1,000. Looks like we dropped about two and a half there. So that was pretty good money in about 4 days. Here's silver on the moon, the silvery moon. Gotcha. There's the top there on the 25th over the weekend was the moon. And then the opening there was right there on Monday. And that was a nice little top there. And then you decline, it went down. Here's your beans. Beans missed on the moon. It dropped and it went sideways. But over here on Mercury retrograde, you got a nice low there. I think that was the low of the month, I believe. Then you had a nice rally and so forth, and that worked out for the beans. Here's your S&P going kind of sideways here into that window for the moon and several other things. So it took a pass. Here we had another big point window here over the weekend. That was a big cluster, and that kind of didn't. If you sold there, you might have had trouble. Yeah, you didn't lose a lot, but lost a little bit. Stopped out probably. Here we have a rally into this window here, and you had a chance there on that little pullback to make some money, and then it rallied again up to here, and then again you had a little pullback into that low there, and then you had a chance to go long, cover your short, go long, and make some money into the about a day or so ago, you know.
And your recent signal is a sell from yesterday?
On my sentiment number, if you were talking about my update.
No, I'm talking about the green thing all the way to the right above the last candle or bar.
Over here?
Yeah, what's above the bar, that shape?
Right here, that's the opening of the 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were looking for a little bit of a top there. We kind of got a
Yeah.
pullback right around there, right? I think.
Right. Okay.
Yesterday, the market, although
Yeah.
opened on on all-time new highs, it closed rather weak. We didn't
Yeah.
close. It closed rather down quite a bit from the highs.
Yes.
Oh, I got the S&P on here twice. Sorry about that. I'll just ignore that. And I duped the same chart. Here's sugar. Had a kind of made a low there. You're near the low of the month there, so not too. You're still within the range of the low bar, so you might have gone long there, and then you had a chance to make some money. Here's T-bonds. There's our sideways again. We don't do sideways, so but on that dip there into the moon, we'll be looking to buy, and then you had a very nice rally. If you're not familiar, bonds, every handle, every whole number, a handle is a whole number. On bonds is $1,000, so if you go from 160 to 161, that's $1,000. We did that about, looks like we went from about 159 up to about 161. That's $2,000 in about 4 or 5 trading days. That's some pretty nice money there. So anyway, you had a big window there for a change in trend. We got that. And we rallied up here to that change in trend. That was the top. And then we've been coming down, and we had a miss there. But then we had a little bounce there. And you had a chance to make some money on that. And here's your wheat going sideways there. So we'll take a pass. But on this dip here into, that was the moon and another spot there. But we dipped into Mercury retrograde, and that was the low of the month. That was pretty good. Then you had a nice rally. Here's what all you folks like is the dollar index. I'll be looking at currencies too. We had these points here, there. If you sold maybe just a little bit early there, but not too bad. You only went a few points higher there on, that was over the 25th weekend with the moon and some other points. And then I had a whole cluster over that weekend. And then you had a little nice top there. And then you dipped. And then we rallied. And then we had a miss over there. So we had did okay on the dollar. Here, now we're going to go look at, I've told you in the past, but for your currencies, they dance to the moon. Most of the currencies, most of the time, dance to the moon. Not all, none of this stuff works all the time. I don't know anything that works all the time. If you know anything that works all the time, please call me. Yeah.
Me. I do.
What's that?
I work all the time.
Oh, you work all the time. There you go. Well, then, now
So I don't even have to call you. I'm letting you know.
there you go. Okay.
All
Anyway, the Aussie dollar came down, down, down into the weekend of the moon, and there's a nice low there for the Aussie dollar. Pretty nice, huh? Here's your British pound, despite the politics of Brexit, all that, and the October 31 deadline and all that didn't never happened, never materialized. British pound came down and made its low a couple days ahead of the Brexit, right there on the moon. Then you were started moving up. Matter of fact, it topped out there near the Brexit, but we had a nice, which was Mercury retrograde, by the way. They didn't want to sign any deal anyway that day because Mercury turned retrograde. Right? All right, here's your euro, and guess what? It bottoms right on that weekend with the moon.
Was
Okay,
that a new or full?
that would be. Let's see, that would be we're coming a new moon. New moon. That was a new moon.
Okay.
We're coming up
And
to a full moon here next week.
okay, yeah, I know. Okay.
Here's the yen. Unsurprisingly, yen historically has been one of the best for following the moon, but it was just going sideways. Here, there was coming up here to the weekend. You're going sideways, so you just took a pass. All right, well, there is our charts. Now I'm going to show you some other things I do. Here's my planetary index model. If you have any folks out there into this, you might have heard of Donald Bradley. This is kind of similar to Donald Bradley, but I stumbled onto his model back in college there, and I've changed his model quite a bit. But the idea is you quantify the planetary events and then plot them on a graph. And so there we go. There's my blue line, which I do a couple of weeks in advance, and then after the fact, I overlay the S&P 10-minute bar chart on top of the blue line to see how we're doing. And you can see there that worked out pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Here's your
Looks like you have something coming up on the right-hand side of the chart.
Well, this is October. This was October.
Oh,
Starting
okay.
on September 30th, ending on
Okay.
October 25.
All right.
That was
Got
my
it.
October period.
Okay.
Okay, so we got over here. We had a big cluster there. Yes, you were correct We have there's the new moon there on the 30th of September, and that was the top. And then we came down to Pluto going direct, retrograde. The opposite of retrograde is direct. The planets, due to the rolling motion of the Earth, appear to stop their motion and reverse their direction every so often, and that's Pluto was doing that. And look at that spike low there, right on the morning of October 3rd. That was fantastic, right?
That was a
That was
good
the
one.
low of the month. All right, so anyway, that's it. So that worked out pretty well. Let's see what we got here next. Oh, I'm gonna show you my fractals. Okay, so this is a very simple method. If you call me up, I'll teach you this in 5 to 10 minutes. It's unbelievable. I have done this for 20. I had this for 27 different markets. Last year worked fantastic. The best group of all the markets last year was doing this with the currencies. So you'll want to check this out. Well, there's the S&P forecast. It's based on the January price action, and I stretch this out, and it's available in February for the whole year. So this is how this has been following. I had this mapped out for the whole year, starting back on February, early February. Let's see, this was published on February 1. These blue bars, and so there's how we're doing so far. Says we might get a little dip here into mid-November, and then if that happens, then we're probably going to rally all the way into late December. Okay.
Nice.
Classic Hanukkah rally, right, Dale?
Yeah, it's a good time to make some gelt.
There you go. Get some gelt. All right, there we go. Here's the T-bonds, the forecast model, these blue bars. So watch for the high of the year for bonds, mid to late August. Guess what happened? That was right there in late August was the high for the T-bond so far. Now we're trading back down here to this 157. We just got whacked yesterday, 2 handles in the bonds, big time.
Yeah.
And so now we're down here in the one. We topped out 166. Well, we're down about 157. That's 9 handles, $9,000. Alrighty, so this is very simple. No fancy formulas. I couldn't do it if we had fancy formulas.
How do you teach anyone anything in 5 minutes?
What's that?
How do you teach anybody anything in 5 minutes?
I can
like
do
you
that.
said, you do that.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
can do that. Yeah.
All right.
I can teach them how they do this. Usually, sometimes it takes 10 minutes because they can't believe how simple it was when I
Okay.
taught them the 5 minutes. You know.
All right.
But there's nothing in everything I do looks complicated, but after I explain it, you realize I could teach a 10-year-old to do this. Okay, there's nothing over. If you made it through the 5th grade, you can do everything I'm doing.
You're still doing a free promo class?
Sure, I'll teach people day trading in 30 minutes, and it makes a lot of money. As of my numbers through October, based on my model and how I do things, trading one S&P E-mini was up about $48,000 for the year.
Nice.
That's not a bad living, you know, right? Just trading one contract, and of course, if you increased your account where you had a reasonable amount of capital, you could always scale up and go to 2. Then you're making a really nice living, you know, right? All right, here's what's coming up immediately. This weekend, we got Mercury at 0 latitude. That's a big thing for me. That's one of my top things. That's your grains, corn, oats. Nobody trades the oats, but I follow them anyway just because they dance the plants nicely. Soybeans, stocks, and wheat. And we also have a moon coming up the night of Monday night. Is the full moon in the sign of Taurus, which is going to you round up, as they say in Casablanca. Lieutenant Lieutenant says, round up the usual suspect. We're going to be looking at financials, grains, precious metals, which include your currencies. Financials are currencies. Stocks, cattle, moo, because it's Taurus, the bull, cattle, and cotton. And that's it. And so we got a big cluster coming up over this weekend. Mercury, it doesn't show it up here, but there's lots of small stuff piling up to make up big points on my calendar. I got energy, sort of an energy calendar of different planetary events, and that's the highest energy window coming up here about over the weekend and into Monday, Tuesday for the entire month. And later in the week we have the 15th.
Steve is asking, when does Mercury go direct?
That will be, I believe, about the 20th, 21st.
Okay, thank you.
I gave you a week of stuff here, so you'd have time to call me and then we can talk about other stuff coming up.
Okay.
It's like you and I are from the 50s and 60s there. The big hit back in 1965, Dale, was Petula Clark. Call me. Don't be afraid. You can call me.
And downtown.
Oh yeah, downtown. But I won't be downtown. I'll be in my office here,
All right.
in my home in.
You used to
beautiful
be
Dayton.
downtown Chicago at the sign of the trader
Absolutely.
with all the shickers.
Did you get the fish sandwich? That was great. That's
Yeah.
fish sandwich, right?
I've done everything you've done.
You had to be careful though. You didn't go and get the fish sandwich when the greens let out, because there'd be a line out onto the sidewalk. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, the night of the 15th, we got Mercury perihelion. It's again, Mercury is your grains, and because it's perihelion, that's Greek for near the sun. Helios is sun, para is near. You got your corn, gold, oats. OJ is a sun thing, beans, stocks, and wheat. So there we go. Here's what's coming up in the future. I just mentioned earlier, I thought I'd remind myself, I just had my 41st anniversary, and you can get free classes, free letters, and all kinds of stuff if you just give the Norm a call. Okay, I've
So
been doing
take a
this a long time here.
screenshot for Norm's contact info.
What's that, Dale? I'm sorry,
I'm
what?
telling them to take a screenshot of your contact info.
There you go. There's my contact info. I'm in beautiful, sunny Naples, Florida. There's my phone. You can call me. You can talk. You get to talk to me. No robots here. No websites that you can't talk to anybody. It's me. You get me. I'm the president. I'm the janitor. I'm the phone receptionist. I do it all. And so you get to talk to me and learn from my 50 years. It says 45, but I've really been doing this since I was a teenager. Looking at the markets anyway. Part. I got Skype. If you're overseas, call me on Skype. It's free. There's my handle there, Winski_1. So I hope we're under your wire there for time, Dale.
Yeah, it
Thanks
was
for
fine,
having me on.
Norm.
Everybody have a great weekend coming up, and call me right away. I work late hours. You can call me at night. You can call me on the weekends. Just don't call me late for dinner, right?
All right, Norm, it was good to have you back, buddy. And if I don't talk to you, happy Thanksgiving. And glad our paths crossed, and really encourage people, if you want to learn about the planets, and some people are skeptical. I believe that everything is math, that whatever you
Speaking, can
believe.
I jump in just for a second, Dale?
Yeah.
Speaking of skeptical, I don't know if the people were adding up the arrows or not. I added up last night. I believe I had 31 green arrows and 12 red arrows. That works out to about 72% winning signals.
Yeah, very good hit
That's
rate.
pretty good.
Yeah. So, Norm, appreciate it, everyone. You want to learn about this, you learn from a veteran, and you can't learn experience. So, Norm's got decades of it. Take advantage of it. Give him a call. And that's a wrap for us here in F.A.C.E for the week. We hope we built you up, edified you all week long. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Thank you, Norm Winski. Thank you, F.A.C.E. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you all on Monday. Thank you, Norm.
Thank you very much, Dale.
Okay, Monica, you too have a good weekend. Brock, everyone, adios.